Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning if you're that far away from me. So, I just need a sound check. Sound check in the house. Sound check in the house. Let's see how we're doing tonight. I'm on a little early, so I wanted to say hello to everybody. How we doing? Oh my gosh, I got a lot of love in the chat room. I got a lot of people saying, praising me, saying, "Oh, sounds good, awesome, awesome." So I saw a couple first timers in the chat. Okay, I want to say hello to the first timers first and foremost. Welcome to one of the most amazing webinars this side of the Mississippi, whichever side of the Mississippi you're going to be on tonight. So, we're going to have a lot of fun. Please post any questions that you have in the chat. I would be more than happy to answer that. And also, for those of you, like I said, who are first timers, you're going to get the smooth baritone tones of the Stew Crew tonight. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn stuff, okay? And I would be more than happy to try to answer any of the questions that you have in the chat box as best of my ability. Also, always remember that we do have our webinars in our webinar section. So if you scroll all the way down, you will see past webinars, okay? Good luck if you're testing tomorrow. Good luck. Do I have any passes in the chat room right now? Do I have anybody who passed this week? Let me get you some... let me get some love for anybody who has passed this week. Okay. So, if anyone does have a question, Jennifer says they passed. Shout out to Stu for the amazing webinars. You guys are in for a treat. Jennifer, congratulations. You are onto an awesome career in real estate. Okay. So, let's get moving. Let's get grooving. Let's jump right into this. What is title and what is deed? So guys, we're going to start with title. What is title? Tell me what title is. What is title? What is title? I see you guys throwing a lot of love for people who passed this week. Title is ownership. Title is ownership, right? So when you have title to something, okay, you have ownership. So, some people are throwing in their proof of ownership. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So just want to say this. When we transfer the ownership of real estate right here, this is a big key right here. When we're transferring ownership of real estate, what we're doing is we are transferring that bundle of rights, okay? That good old bundle of rights. And what is the bundle of rights? Who can tell me what the bundle of rights is? Because I don't have it up on my screen, but I did want to talk about that for just an iota, a second, because I mentioned it, but I want to see if you guys know what the bundle of rights is. So, the bundle of rights is the right to, I use P-U-T-E-E. Some of you guys use DeepSea for that. I use P-U-T-E-E, the right to possess, use, transfer, encumber, and exclude. Some people use piece. There's a ton of different people that just change up the words. Keep in mind this. Every single acronym that you have is probably just a synonym for another word in there. Okay? So a couple of you guys are throwing in the chat a whole bunch of different acronyms. So don't get confused if you see something, you're like, hey, what's that? My teacher didn't teach us that. That's not what I remember from my book. Don't you worry. Again, I use the right to possess, use, transfer, exclude, and encumber. That's me, okay? But again, if you have something else in your head, that's quite all right too, because again, you'll probably see, if you actually listen to my my explanation, you might see a difference in regards to that there could be a synonym here and there, okay? So what happens is my explanation probably has a synonym somewhere. Okay, so we just said title is proof of ownership, right? So when I have title to something, is this. When I have title to real estate, I have the bundle of rights. When I have title to personal property, so how do we transfer title to personal property? That's another good question that we can kind of branch off into, okay? Like my fountain pen collection, Everyone always knows about my fountain pen collection, so those of you who are first timers, I collect fountain pens and playing cards. Yes, I collect knickknacks. So a lot of you guys are putting in their bill of sale. Absolutely. Bill of sale is going to transfer the ownership rights of any of our personal properties. Someone put in there, I have $400 pens. I actually have pens that are much more expensive than that. But my wife thinks that my most expensive pen is $400. No, she does not have access to the Prep Agent webinars. No, she cannot hear me. That's how I roll. So what is deed? What is deed? I told you guys who are first timers, you're going to have a lot of fun with me tonight. So we just did title. We talked about what the ownership of real estate is, right? That's your bundle of rights. Okay, and then now we're going to talk about deed for a little bit. So what is deed? What is deed? Okay, what is a deed? Evidence of transfer, right? That's your transfer of real property, of the ownership of real property. So what happens is we have title as your proof of ownership. Deed is kind of that, that instrument that's going to transfer that real property. Okay, some people said receipt. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay. So yeah, that is a deed. So now let's identify who the parties are in our transaction. So when we have a deed, okay, it's being transferred from one party to another party. Okay, being transferred from one party to another party. Okay, grantor and grantee. Someone put in there. Brittany put $400 pens, and the face emoji she put after that was exactly the face emoji that my wife had. Real life, when she heard how expensive some of those pens were. Some of those pens are. She was like, that's a how much pen? I was like, yeah. So I hear a Joe song coming. I don't know Joe's song. He has the grantor, the grantee, the boogie woogie woogie, can't stop it all night long song. So I always say the grantor is the one who is giving. OR gives. And the EE receives, okay? OR gives, EE receives. The grantor is the one who is transferring their ownership rights. And the grantee is the one who's receiving it. The one who's receiving it. I think I do a different OREE song each time I do it. So that's the humor in my in having me do that, okay? So let's keep moving, let's keep grooving. Let's go over to title, okay? Let's go over to title, guys. Let's talk about this first, okay? Let's talk about the several ways in which you could take title to a property. Now, I'm actually going to give you a little tip, a little trick in regards to remembering things, okay? And I talk about this a lot when I'm doing my private lessons, and guess what? Shameless plug. If you guys don't know already, I do private lessons. So if you go over to the Prep Agent website, and I'm going to show you before the end of this webinar, where you click to get a private lesson with me, and it is amazing. It's everything you think it would be, okay? So I've helped a lot of you guys out, and I look forward to helping a lot more of you. But let's talk about title for a second, okay? What I want you to do, and I was talking about how I want you to remember things, I want you to have what I refer to as a coffee-worthy definition of something. A lot of times you have a definition in your head, and you just have some loose words associated with it. So I'll ask someone, hey, what is... can you explain to me joint tenancy? Can you explain to me joint tenancy? And they'll go, oh, joint tenancy, I know it. Oh, T-tip. And as someone who has been educating people for 12 years in real estate, I know exactly what they mean. I know what T-tip is, okay? However, if I was a lay person and that was the definition you gave me, oh man, I'd have some problems. So you want to have a nice conversational definition about what all these are. So just kind of like how I flow with it, I give you a little bit of, oh, this is what this is what that is. And it might not be as polished as reading it out of the book, but look, you come to me for something else. You come to me to give you the meat and potatoes, tell you what time it is, and give it to you in a way that you could understand. And that's what I'm here to do for you. And that's what we try to do here at Prep Agent. So, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about tenancy in severalty. Tenancy and severalty. Do not make the mistake of seeing several and going, that means multiple. I have several pens. That doesn't mean I have multiple pens. That means severalty. Severalty is this, okay? Severalty means I have severed interest. It's one entity, okay? One entity, one owner, solo, okay? That is the Han Solo of ownership. So if you take title to a property in severalty, all right, what happens is this. It's one. It's a monocle. Someone put the monocle emoji in there. I'm laughing at that. Zai. I hope that I pronounced that correctly. So here's the next one. Tenants in common, okay? This is common people. So typically here, this is some characteristics of tenants in common. Tenants in common is for more than one person. So 2 or more. So we'll put a 2+ sign, okay? Someone asked, Jonathan asked, is that corporations too? So severalty and common can have ownership by a corporation, an LLC, an LLP, whatever you want to have there. Okay, so you could have ownership of a corporation there. So someone said in this one, tenants in common has no rights of survivorship. Someone said not equal shares of interest. Here's the thing, interesting thing about tenants in common, you can have equal interest. So it's 2 or more people, okay, and they have the right to devise, okay, they have the right to devise their property. So what does it mean to devise? When I saw one of my, one of my favorite people in the chat just said that they failed again. Well, I'm glad that you're back with me in the Stew Crew, but I don't like you being back with that kind of news. So understand this, guys, and I'm going to take the time out to just point out, if you fail the test, listen, don't you worry about that. Some of the best real estate agents, some of the brightest, some of the real estate agents with the most expensive cars and the most expensive suits and the most expensive pens have failed the real estate exam. Listen, little known fact, I don't air out any dirty laundry here, but I'm going to tell you this. Stu, back 12 years ago when I had hair and a six-pack and I was a debonair young fellow, so I had this smooth voice and I was debonair, I failed my real estate exam. I failed my broker's exam by 1 point. So everything that you guys are going through, I wasn't always this smart. It took me a very, very long time. Actually, that was 15 years ago. Excuse me. So I will tell you that I know what it's like to fail by 1 point and to do all that stuff and to have to go back. So I know exactly what it is. Okay? Now, back to tenants in common, okay? Back to tenants in common. So we said that could be devised. I asked you guys to tell me what devise means in the chat, and you guys put to will real property, and that is exactly what devise is. It's to will real property, okay? So here's what happens. Tenants in common is 2 or more people. You could will real property, and what happens with that is you could also have equal or unequal shares. There's no requirements there. It's just that it has to be more than one person taking title to the property. That's it. Now we have these 2 special ones. And if you don't know what tenancy by the entirety is, you might not have that in your state. So don't you worry. Okay? Let's talk specifically about joint tenancy. So tell me, what is joint tenancy? What does this mean? Oh, all you guys are going to be amazing real estate agents. I can feel it in my bones. You guys are talking in the chat. Okay, joint tenants. I see you guys putting a couple things in there because I was asking about that. Yes, you have to have the unity of time, title, interest, and possession. T-tip. So what does the unity of time, title, interest, and possession mean? That means that that they're getting the property at the same time, on the same title. They have unified interest. What do I mean by unified interest? I mean their interest is equal, okay? So what happens is this. It's not like when me and my wife go out to dinner, we get a pizza pie, and I go, I'm really hungry. I'm going to take that much. This is the Stu slice, and this is the Stu's wife, Jen slice. Notice how the Stu slice is a little bigger. No, we cannot have that in joint tenancy, okay? The pie has to be equal, no matter how many owners we have. So we have to have unified interest, and we must come into possession of the property at the same time. I often talk about how when me and my wife first met, she had a 600 square foot beach house. She had a 600 square foot beach house. And we were going to stay in the beach house. I was going to be added to title. Okay. And what happened was this. She made it very clear to me that 2 dogs, 2 cats, 1 Stu, 1 Jen was not going to work in a 600 square foot house. She would have killed me. So I agreed graciously to buy a new house with her. And we met all the requirements on the new house. We get all the new requirements on the new house. We actually took title as joint tenants. We met the unities of time, title, interest, and possession. So what is the benefit? What is the benefit of being joint tenants? What does it mean? So someone put in the chat, Zai, and I hope, again, I'm pronouncing that correctly, joint tenants means equal. Well, one of the requirements is to have unified interest, meaning that you do have equal interest in the property, right? So your slices of the pie are the same, okay? So joint tenancy, you have the right of survivorship. So talk to me about what the right of survivorship is, guys. What's the right of survivorship? Okay? Do I have the right to have a ship named Survivor? No. What is the right of survivorship? So this means, so Chels B, and I hope I pronounced that correctly also. So if you were added to the 600 square foot house, would you have taken title as tenants in common? That is a great question, hence why I want to answer it. The answer to that is yes, because we wouldn't have met the unity of time, title, or possession, because she would have come into possession of the property at a different time than I did. She would have been on a different title, and her ownership would have started at a different time. So we could have had equal interest. That was typically that would have been the only thing that could have been unified. So what happens with right of survivorship means that when one individual passes away, the others can, the other owner or owners will have the ownership of the deceased dissolve into their ownership, okay? That's why it needs to be equal. Otherwise, it would be too messy to try to figure out, who would get what and what would happen there. So, really quickly, just want to talk about tenancy by the entirety. And I'll just tell you, for those of you who do have it in your state, it has the same benefit as joint tenants. Okay, same benefit as joint tenants, which is right of survivorship. And the only other requirement is that you be married. So you have to have unity of time, title, interest, and possession, and you must be married. Otherwise, that is really the only difference. Okay, so that is title. So if you have any questions while I move it and groove it, let me know. Okay, so we're going to go right over to deed. We're going to go over to deed, and we're going to talk about the legal requirements, okay? The legal requirements to have a valid deed, okay? To have a valid deed. So, we'll go over each one of these, and then what I'll do is this. Give me a thumbs up if you want to go into the legal descriptions of property, or if you want to go to my deed section, okay? So, I'm going to try to help you out. Here are all the legal requirements, okay? Someone asked, before I go into the legal requirements of a valid deed, someone asked a good question. Can you buy property when married and not be joint tenants? Yes, absolutely. So let me tell you this, okay? Let me tell you this. And it seems like people want me to go into deed, so I'm going to do that. Then I'll go to legal description if we have time. So, can you take property when you are married as tenants in common? Absolutely. So my wife, and I use her as a lot of examples. She's my target, okay? Because this is a true story. My wife is risk averse. I am apt to take risks. So I'm the kind of guy that will go to Atlantic City or to Las Vegas. I'll go into a casino and I'll say, yes, put $500 on red. I'll do that. So what happens is this. I tend to invest in a lot of things. I tend to take a lot of risks. My wife is much more calculated. She would rather have all of her bank underneath her mattress and just be like, I am fine with this. This is really a good situation for me. My money's not going anywhere. So, that being said, I have invested in properties, and then my wife was like, hey, I'm thinking about investing with you. because we do keep separate accounts for the purposes of this example. And she says to me, hey, can I like give you like $10,000 on your next risk, on your next investment? And I was like, sure. So she would be like, let's say it was a $100,000 property. It would be 10% ownership. So we could take it as tenants in common, right? Because then we would have unequal interest. So absolutely, you can be owners of a property, be married, and still be tenants in common. That's a choice that you make. Hence why they don't automatically always go, no. If you're going to be tenants in common, you have to be this, or you have to be that. Okay? So I hope that helped you out a little bit, because again, I like to answer the questions whenever I can. However, let's talk about the legal requirements for a deed, to have a valid deed. First thing, signature of the grantor. Who's the grantor? Who's the grantor again? Who's the grantor? Who is the grantor? The giver. The person who's transferring their rights, right? OR gives, EE receives, right? And eventually Joe's going to teach me the song, and I'm going to come on here and I'm going to shock all you guys, and I'm going to sing the Joe song, and you guys are going to be mind blown. You're going to be like, oh my God, Stu sings it with such harmony. The next thing you need is a legal description of land, and I'm going to go over that if we have some extra time. Okay, so the legal descriptions of land would be this: meets and bounds, the recorded plat of subdivision, right? We also have the government survey system, or the rectangular survey system. The next thing you need is delivery and acceptance. And I put over here, I asked you a question, a magical question. Okay? How is this different from offer and acceptance? Someone put in the chat, lot and block. Okay? That is recorded plat of subdivision. They're the same. They're synonyms for one another. So depending on how it just rolls off the top of my head as recorded plat of subdivision, but that's lot and block. Okay? Same. Okay? For those of us who speak Spanish, that's mismo. I do speak a little Spanish, not a lot. So delivery and acceptance. How is delivery and acceptance different from offer and acceptance? Because we need offer and acceptance when we're doing contracts, right? So when we're doing contracts, we need to have offer and acceptance. And Todd put in here, one is a meeting of the minds. Yeah, one is a meeting of the minds, okay? So offer and acceptance in a contract, that's a meeting of the minds, because one is saying, hey, this is what I'm offering you. Does this sound like a good deal? Is this good for you? Okay? Is this good? And then they say, that sounds absolutely fantastic. I will sell you my pen for $400. Stu, that is a steal. I will buy your pen for $400. Okay? One day I'm going to show off some of my pen collection, because I tell you guys about it so much. And I miss you guys over the weekend, so don't think I don't. I miss all of you. And if you guys are listening to me on audio and a recording later on, I miss you too. Listen to me on the weekend. The next one is going to be words of conveyance. We need some sort of words of conveyance, okay? Okay. Words of conveyance. So what words of conveyance are is they're going to show you the amount of, they're basically going to show you how they take title to a property, how they take title to the property, what kind of freehold estate is, what kind of freehold estate you're going to have. Are you going to have a fee simple? Is it a life estate? Are you going to have a fee defeasible? Okay. So that is the words of conveyance. Also, what type of deed was granted, right? What kind of deed was granted? Okay. Now, the last thing that we need is consideration. Good or valuable. Good or valuable. So what is the difference between good or valuable? Okay. So valuable is going to be this. Valuable is going to be anything of value, okay? Anything of value. Could be $1, could be $3. A good one would be a hug, okay? So a hug, love and affection, anything, okay? Anything that is not of value. Even though I would argue that a hug from me is probably It's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that. Okay, a hug, a high five. I'm a high fiver actually. That's so. If you guys, that's a shame that a lot of you guys won't ever meet me in person. I wish I could meet all of you guys, but when I travel again, I'll come out and I'll visit some of you guys. I'm a high fiver. I'm big on high fives. I think that high fives are the nectar of life. I think that without high fives, I mean, why wake up in the morning? High fives, hugs, all that. So anyway, let's keep moving and grooving. Let's get to the types of deeds. Okay, the types of deeds. Okay, so we have several different types of deeds, okay? And now I draw this little timeline. Here's the thing, I'm gonna have this up for a little bit so you can take a screenshot of it. You could be like, oh, I love Stu's graphics. Love how he explains this, okay? And I try to get you guys the most simple definition and the most easy to remember, okay? Definitions of each type of deed. So the only difference between deeds, okay? The only difference between deeds, and I'm not going into certain special circumstance types of deeds, like a reconveyance deed, things like that, because those are a little more nuanced, and they might go into some state-specific stuff. So I'm going to go over the big four, okay? The, major ones that you're going to encounter. And those are going to be your warranty, your special warranty, your bargain and sale, and the quitclaim, okay? And here's what they do. From left all the way to right, you're going to have the most covered for the grantee. Okay, so the most guaranteed, the best for the grantee to the worst for the grantee. So the only thing that differs is the level of guarantees and warranties that the grantor will give to the grantee. Okay, so first one, general warranty. A lot of you guys are saying general warranty is the best one. So here's what I'll say. And someone said, so Melinda asked a question about deeds that I hadn't gone over. So the granting clause and the habendum clause, what is the difference? Because some of you guys are thinking a habendum clause, a granting clause, because I said words of conveyance. Now sometimes, and here's the thing, it varies, okay, it depends. Within the granting clause or words of conveyance could be the habendum clause. It really depends on what type of deed, what's going to be in it, and a little bit of minutia, okay? So, what I will tell you is this. Within the words of conveyance lives the habendum clause. And the habendum clause basically says to have and to hold, okay? And I'm giving you a very broad stroke of a pen because I don't have a little sticky note up here. I don't have a lot of detailed notes on that, but that is my explanation of the habendum clause. I hope that answers it. And again, it's a broad stroke of a pen. I just wanted to answer that question for you because I saw that you had it before and I didn't acknowledge it. And I try to get to you guys and I try to get you as many answers as possible. So let's go back into the different types of deeds, shall we? So I said the warranty deed is going to be the most encompassing, okay? So it says, if you just remember this little phrase, the grantor is saying, I own and will defend against all claims. So it is the entire timeline, before the grantor took title, during their ownership, and after. So they're covering it for all time, okay? And they're saying, hey, I own it, right? I own it. The next one, okay, so the next level down, okay, is going to be a special warranty deed. A special warranty deed. Before I answer that, some of you are asking, hey, what is the, like Anna Hall asked, deed most used in California? Well, it differs depending on the situation, okay? Depending on the situation. So each one would have like a different scenario. Like special warranty deed is probably going to be the most common for sale. Okay, so if you are getting title to a property through a sale, you're probably going to be getting a special warranty deed. What that says is the grantor is saying, I own, and I will defend against only my time only. So their timeline, so the grantor's ownership, that's why I color-coded it. You got that teal, and you're like, oh yeah, it's only this window of time that they're going to say that they cover it for, okay? So, Someone said bargain and sale is a bit strange and confusing. Guess no warranty at all. Yes? No, there is a warranty. They're saying I own it, but I will not defend against any claims. So this is common in foreclosures. And so let me give you an excuse me, a situation. Like, let's say it's a bank-owned property, okay? Now, they will have title searches done and all that stuff. So bargain and sale deed, okay, just kind of skipping right to that, is going to say, hey, we have title to the property, but we are not going to give you any kind of warranty against any claims, okay? So that is typically when that's going to be used. See how each one of these, think of these as different tools in the kitchen. You know, you got your spatula, you got your whisk, you got your, tongs. All of them do different things. And what happens is it would depend on the situation. So how is it decided which deed is correct for which sale? That would be more of a legal question that will either be decided by the title company and or the attorney, depending on your state, your typical local practices, things of that nature. But that's a more in-depth legal question as far as what would be the correct deed to advise someone to be giving as a grantor, or the best deed to be receiving in certain circumstances. So, again, going back to kind of recapping bargain and sale deed, that says I own but will not defend. Okay? I own but will not defend. So, are bargain and sales populars and used often? Yes, bargain and sale are used often, again, in bank-owned properties, or, situations like that, where the bank would say, hey, we're not going to warranty it against any claims, okay? So someone else asked, is the buyer responsible? So, is the buyer responsible? And it depends on what the situation is. I would definitely do my due diligence, okay? I would do my due diligence in regards to the title search. I would be doing my own title search. I'll be getting my own abstract of title, chain of title, stuff like that, so that I knew going into it what I would be getting and what kind of risks there might be. You try to mitigate, control the controllables as much as humanly possible on a practical side. So that's kind of me getting into the weeds of it a little bit. Another question came in that would be a great question for title transfer, title and deed, stuff like that. Would a short sale deed be a synonym for a bargain and sale deed? So let me explain what a short sale is. A short sale is when the bank approves a property to be sold under the amount that is owed for the outstanding loan. Meaning, if I owe $100,000 on my loan, okay, but the market will only bear $80,000 for it. If I, as the homeowner, went to the bank and showed them that, hey, I have a hardship, I can't pay this amount, okay, monthly, then what would happen is the bank could approve me to sell my home short for the $80,000 that the market will yield, and that would suffice for satisfaction of my entire loan amount. Okay, so it would serve as satisfaction. So Diana, that was a great question. I hope that answered it for you. So what is happening with a short sale or anything like that wouldn't have any indication, because what happens is the owners still own the property. The bank is just saying that whatever it yields would suffice the outstanding balance of the loan. Okay. So, someone else asked, with a special warranty deed, will the grantor defend against their acts before and after the ownership? No, because, so what happens is this. They will, and I have to see if I'm answering this correctly, okay? They will defend only against their own time that they owned it, okay? So they're not going to be going before that, they're not going to be going after that. So if the claim arose, okay, either before or after in a special warranty deed, they will not defend against that. They're only defending against their acts in the time that they owned it. So I hope that answers that question. Okay. The next one is a quitclaim deed. The quitclaim deed. Quitclaim deed says, I may or may not own, and I will not defend. This is typically a more clerical task, okay? Meaning this is usually transferred between family members. This is typically transferred between a divorce situation, okay? So what happens is this. This is going to be something that will also clear clouds on title, potentially, depending on what it is. So this is a clerical situation. So Jonathan asks, is it as is for bargain and sale? Define as is for me. Define as is. So Milena, first timer in the chat. I hope you're having a fantastic time with the Stew Crew tonight. What I'll tell you is this. It is an easy transfer. Super, super quick, clean. Whatever interest I have is going to be a way to transfer whatever interest I have. Also, there was a question that came up the other day, and it was an interesting question, actually. So if a dominant tenement, so we're talking about easements right now, right? Ooh. If a dominant tenement wants to dissolve the easement, they would actually sign a quitclaim deed over to the servient tenement. Why? Because whatever interest they have in the property, okay, would now be owned by, as of that date, as of signing and delivery and acceptance, okay, would now be owned by the servient tenement. Because what happens is the only interest they own in that property is that of a dominant tenement easement interest. So now they are just going to transfer that really quick, clean, easy to the to the servient tenement. So that's actually how you dissolve an easement. A lot of people don't know that. They think that there's some sort of other magical way. No, a quitclaim deed is really, really a super effective tool because it helps resolve a lot of issues. Yeah, easy like Parcheesi when it's greasy. You grease up the board, watch those pieces slide all over the place. But we are moving, we are grooving, okay? Let's talk a little bit about different types of legal descriptions of lands. So we have the rectangular survey system or the government survey system. Okay? So the cool thing about this is this. Okay? Rectangular government survey system that is not used in any of the 13 colonies. Stu, I don't know if I'm in one of the original 13 colonies. That's okay. You do not have to be an American history buff like I do to know when we started basically using that government survey system, okay, a rectangular survey system. And what happens is usually it started in about 1775. So if you look at the East Coast and you see all the state lines that look like they were drawn with a crayon, okay, that is typically going to be not a system that, not a place that you're going to have the rectangular government survey system. But when you go out west, and you start seeing nice straight lines, oh my gosh, they're probably using a rectangular survey system, okay? So that is the rectangular survey or government survey system. It's used in almost all states except for the original 13 colonies. And what it is it's basically a system where you have a prime meridian, okay, a baseline, okay, and then within that you have township and range lines that create these little squares called townships. And each township is 6 by 6, okay, and I'll draw my 6 a little better there, 6 by 6, so it's 36 sections, it's 36 square miles, okay? And basically, that is all I'm going to do for this simple explanation of it. Because, again, there's a lot of states that if you're in a state that you're going into it a little more in detail, then absolutely it's something that you probably have to know a little more. You'll have to know how to identify a property. So you'll get all those sections, you'll break it down, and you'll be able to identify an actual property within a section of a township, which is 1 square mile, okay? So you have 36 sections to a township, okay? And some people are putting in there a couple of things, a couple of good tips and tricks. A township is 36 square miles. One section is 1 square mile. 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. And how you remember that is 4 old men driving 35 in a 60. That's how I always remember it, at least. Some of you guys have other ways. But let's talk about the recorded plat of subdivision. In a recorded plat of subdivision, you're going to have a lot and block number that's going to correlate to a recorded map in the county records. Okay, so there's basically a lot and block, and it's used to identify. Okay, it's used to identify your property within the recorded maps in the township and county records. Okay, so that is a recorded plat of subdivision. Okay, this is a recorded plat of subdivision. The next one is the meets and the bounds. The meets and the bounds. Basically, picture that this is your lot. Okay? What you would do is you would start at a point of beginning, anywhere on the map. Okay? And you would describe the property using directionals, monuments, and things of that nature. What's a monument? A monument is usually man-made right now. They usually use rebar. Okay, rebar is basically a metal stamp on the sidewalk or on the side of the road, stuff like that. And what happens is meets and bounds always ends at the point of beginning. Okay, and that is your legal descriptions of land. Look at that. Nailed everything tonight. So if you guys are having any other questions, you want to rewatch this webinar, you can, okay? You can definitely rewatch this webinar, okay? And you can see any of my past ones too. Like if this is your first time, okay, and you're like, oh my God, this Stu guy being a part of the Stu Crew is a ton of fun. I love him. Smooth baritone voice. Love this guy. So you can watch some of my old webinars. And let's talk about who's on the docket for future webinars. You got Titles and Deeds with me today. Tomorrow, at 12 p.m., 9 a.m. Pacific, you're going to have Cynthia, and she's going to be rocking out contracts, okay? Then you have Agency with Adrian. Agency with Adrian, 12 p.m., 9 a.m. Pacific on Thursday. And then guess what? We are going to be having a ton of fun. We are going to do some vocab, okay? Some vocab, okay? We're going to do finance vocab, though. So that's what it's going to be, finance vocab. And then Friday, it is what everyone waits for, every single person's favorite day of the week. It's where I take the reins and we bring the week on home with Facebook Friday. I take your requests, your questions, your comments, your concerns, your burning desires. Stu, how did you get so awesome? I don't know. So Friday is going to be Facebook Friday. Going to have a ton of fun there, so ask any questions that you might have. And if you have questions, you can always send them into us via Care or something like that. So if you don't have social media and you want to still participate, that's awesome too, okay? Because we always would welcome that. So you guys don't get left out even if you don't have the Facebook, okay? So someone asked, can we print a Stu shirt? If someone wants to do a Stu Crew shirt where we're moving and grooving, yeah, I'd totally wear it. I'd rock it out. Also, if you need private tutoring, you just go right over here, schedule your session, and you would be able to see my smiling face. You'll be able to see what times I have available, and you'll be able to schedule some private lessons with me if I am not available, or you would like Cynthia, if you guys are in, especially if you guys are in Texas. She is an amazing instructor. I do suggest taking advantage of the new service that we have where we're offering you guys private lessons, and make sure that you jump in with us quicker rather than later, because I hate sending out emails of people who are like, hey Stu, can you squeeze me in today? And I'm like, no, I only have 24 hours in the day and I couldn't get to you guys. That makes me sad. So I want to get to everyone who I can get to. So guys, look, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Don't work too hard. Don't study too hard. And we'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.